So we're on to chapter 6, A Mighty Beast. Jarla had gotten to Drone first. Using a spell, he infiltrated the dragon's mind in order to prevent him from helping Fionnuala make her wish come true. Although already a man-eater and a great agent of attack to humans and other smaller beasts, dragons can be tamed to some degree. Yet Drone simply was no other kind of dragon. Being of the sapphire breed meant that he would never be loyal to any other, only his own kind. Jarla still had a lot to learn about the world. Just checking the video recording there. So sit back there, audience, with your favorite drink. Drone's cave was oddly shaped, more like a long winding gorge. The sulphur-filled atmosphere clouded Fionnuala's and Crink's sense of smell. Dangling, human skeletons of all shapes and sizes were scattered about the passageway. As they approached his lair, the ceiling sprung high, revealing the towering grey stone walls, which were grimly tainted with splashes of blood. It appeared more of a torture chamber than a home. There it was, stretched out, asleep, while the twinkling moon shone down through a huge crack upon his glistening boulder-sized scales. Fionnuala closed her eyes and imagined herself invisible. It happened as she had this power, and she shook the pollen dust into the huge beast's ear. Drone didn't budge, and so she shouted, "Drone, arise!" Thunder rumbled as Drone arose in great strength, spitting blue fire at all corners of the cave. Crink looked on in awe from a safe distance, while after a while the passiflora started taking effect, and the ugly, angry beast slumped down as if he was turning to stone. Fionnuala can now talk into his huge thick ear. "You can help me, and I can help you." Straight away his huge eyelids flung open, revealing dreary sapphire blue eyes. "What can you offer me?" bellowed the weakened creature. "Anything and everything you can wish for," exclaimed Fionnuala. Drone wished he too would be reunited with his family. At the beginning of the war they had separated, flying in all directions. Drone still didn't know whether they'd survived or not. Fionnuala said, "Precisely like me. Then let's go together to the Wishing Woods." "First show yourself," steamed Drone, infuriated, blowing more blue flames into the air. Fionnuala blinked, thus revealing herself, sitting down near Drone's ear. "It is I," she stated, and then blinked again to disappear. She'd never tried this before, but it seemed to come quite naturally. Drone fought with himself for a moment, torn between sentiments of home and Jarla's magic. Only one thing really mattered to him now, and that was his deep anger and thirst for revenge. Revenge for being left alone as probably the last one of his kind. This deep emotion suddenly overrode the warlock's spell. Drone spat fire again and yelled, "Stop torturing me! Stop, great Jarla, warlock of the mighty mounts!" And rocks started falling from both sides of the cave, as did the ground of the lair rumble. Truly this creature was powerful, even when sedated. Then the dragon spoke in a lighter tone. "All right, wherever you are, little fairy, let's leave and get what we all want." Fionnuala revealed herself and signaled to Crink to come out of hiding. Crink still remained gobsmacked by Fionnuala's ability to disappear, and he continued to stare wide-eyed at her. Yet they climbed up onto the dragon's back and held on tight to his scales. By now the sedative was slowly wearing off, and the dragon could stand up. Great Drone then spread his fierce, expansive wings and pushed himself upwards with all his might. Fionnuala and Crink were starting to have second thoughts about the whole adventure, but they had no option but to hang on no matter what. Even the surrounding trees above the beast's cave were knocked over in his exit. The ground beneath him was left trembling, and the water from the surrounding falls stopped flowing. His riders, wide-eyed, grabbed on, fearfully for their lives. Once in the air, Drone started to feel more relaxed and in control, as he sensed that revenge was near and that he was not alone any longer. He felt he was achieving something after his long hibernation on the matter. All his confidence was coming back. He sped on swiftly in the direction of the Wishing Woods, with his equally determined companions. Confrontation leads to resolution is the next chapter, as chapter 7. probably the longest in the book, and the last chapter, although there's an epilogue after that. So let's go for it. Fionnuala and Crink were well tucked in beneath one of the dragon's scales. He was clutching onto a tendon. She could feel Drone's warm body rising and falling as the icy wind whirled through her hair. She felt extremely ecstatic and fearless, quite unlike the way she felt when Crink first found her heart broken upon that desolate beach. She now felt relieved and protected by this immense beast. He seemed invincible, and she felt invincible. Many times in life, when one has a sharp sense of purpose, one can find meaning and newfound inner strength. We all need to strive for this in our lives. Find your missions and go for the stars. Crink, though, was a little bit more realistic and thought that sooner he was off that dragon's back, the better. Drone became very chatty during the voyage. He told his comrades all about the first king of the New World, Jarla's father. He told them how he died in battle and how his halfling son Jarla was now taken over. Fionnuala learned from Drone that the new king was a very good sorcerer. Strangely, something was telling her that she wanted to know more about him. And Drone swooped down for kilometers towards what appeared to be a very evenly rounded island. It was full of tall, green, spiky pines. It looked heavenly, and somewhat divine amid the clouds. On getting nearer, they could make out a silver clearing. There they are, the Wishing Woods, yelled Crink. Drone, let us down now. As Drone nosed down, wings folded backwards, the mysterious island seemed to explode into little stars that were blown away in the wind. Drone alerted. It has vanished. This seems like an impossible mission. I'll leave you on the mainland shore. All the while, Jarla watched on with great intent and saw them landing peacefully on the mainland. He called upon Drone's mind to retreat to the mountains from whence he came, and to never lend a helping hand to anyone ever again. In return, he would grant him his freedom from his control. So Drone did as he was told, but knew that when he would, and when he could, he would soon get his revenge. Jarla's father had killed off the dragons when he used magic. He had found their hex, that is the magical stone, and created the new world. The hex was a very special stone forged by the dragons. Luckily, Drone was out at sea. My dog has come to see what's going on here. Stephen, you're going to join in with the reading? So Drone was out at sea that fateful day, and so was saved from death. But when he came back to nothing and no one, he was devastated. Henceforth, he promised himself to gain full revenge and restore the dragon race. Meantime, Crink and Fionnuala proceeded to plan how they would get to the Wishing Woods without Drone. At dawn, they would set out on Ulysses' back and land there, make the wish, and get back to the mainland. However, dawn never came, nor did nightfall. How will we know if the Wishing Woods have reappeared? Ulysses fretted on arrival. In life, we've all got to take chances and follow our instincts. I feel that we're going to get the opportunity. We can't miss it. You're here now, and there's no holding back. We must stick it out. Fionnuala reasoned as if it came second nature to her. Then she jumped upon Ulysses' back, pulling Crink up, and off they flew. It's an opportunity not to be missed, Fionnuala urged on. Come on, patience and perseverance will get us there. But the sea was unusually rough below, and its spray splattered them even meters above it. Ahead, the Wishing Woods suddenly decided to reappear. Fionnuala was right. King Jarla, on the other hand, summoned his army of beasts to stop Fionnuala. He had been carefully monitoring all her movements in his crystal ball. Within minutes, his armed guardians on winged frogs were approaching the unicorn and its determined riders. There must have been 50 giant blue-legged flying frogs with heavily armed masked riders. Quickly they encircled the trio from all directions. The unicorn was stopped in midair. Fionnuala yelled out to them, "Why are you trying to stop us?" And the troop below bellowed a chorus response, "No old world." "But all I want is my family and the green pastures I used to play on," insisted Fionnuala. Then Drone appeared with some wild-looking creature on his back. Its rider was male and had a long, flowing mane that was knifing the air as if he was in some kind of mad rage. He paved his way through his troops to face his enemies head-on. Then he spoke in a deep, firm voice. "I am Jarla, king of the New World and guardian of the mighty mounts. Young lady, you dare not make your wish. This battle has been won by a majority. I order you to leave and never seek these woods again." So Fionnuala looked straight into his dark eyes as he penetrated hers. She did not fear him in the slightest. Now she knew who he was. He sat on Drone as if he were his master. His upper body looked human, but his hairy legs appeared horse-like. He had a tail that was flickering behind him, and his chest was strong and brave, and bare, sorry, and he seemed quite young. Something was not right, as he had a very sad look in his eyes, and his face seemed kind despite his fearsome expression. Oddly, there was something Fionnuala instantly liked about him. Quite bewildered by her feelings, she reacted with hurt. Drone, you traitor, you should pay for this. And you, great lord, King Jarla, how can I leave? I must make my wish come true. This is my only chance. Perhaps if you tell me your wish, we can find other ways to accomplish it, he quickly proposed with a glint in his eyes. Indeed, the young king had a quick mind and knew well what he wanted. Even though Fionnuala's heart calmed and she began to feel more at ease on hearing his logical words, she is a fighter by nature and would not give up that easily. Ha! I will not be easily fooled. Why do you think I will trust you? Fionnuala replied to the king, who never stopped looking down at her like she was one of his servants. Suddenly he nudged Drone to come closer, and he rose his left hand up in front of her face. He wanted to show Fionnuala and her companion something. He was wearing a silver ring with a specific symbol. Straight away, Fionnuala recognized it, and she showed up hers. That's right. The rings were identical. Fionnuala pulled back her hand in confusion. Maybe they are related in some way. What does this ring thing mean, anyway? And she only knew that she had worn it since she was little, but she never saw it on anyone else, not even on her parents. Immediately, Jarla interrupted her train of thought. You see, we are equals, but I know more about who and what you are than you yourself. You must listen to me and stop what you're doing. We must talk on shore. But you aren't good. You just want the new world to stay, shrieked the frustrated Fionnuala. Maybe so, but let me explain everything. You first must hear me out, reassured the Dark Rider in an even deeper tone. I will listen after I have my wish. Your beasts are killing all the humans and have killed my family, roared back an enraged Fionnuala. I am terribly sorry about your family, but that wasn't my fault. It was my father's wrongdoing. I am only recently king, and I'm trying to fix my father's errors. The beasts are not killing anymore. My dear, you are surrounded. You must back down and follow me to my palace. Now is not the time to make such a wish, as you will cause more harm than what you can imagine. Your world is long gone. The humans will never reign again. It's the beasts' turn now. They have suffered long enough and have won. You must find your home in this world now. The past is over. You must let it go. Your happiness is based on your present and future actions. If humans reigned again, this planet would not even exist, as we'd all be blown up into the tiniest atoms. None of us would be alive after one day of your wish coming true. The old world is dead and buried. I'm sorry, but it is, tried to reason the king. Fionnuala and her friends now realized what was actually happening, and they decided to back down. Everything started to make more sense. They needed to find out more. Please, friends, come back to my palace, where we can talk and find solutions, suggested the king. We will talk about this, as it is not over yet, warned Fionnuala. So back at his palace, a huge meal was set out on a long wooden table. The palace itself was quite glamorous and ornamental, made of grey stone. Jarla knew that Fionnuala was not trusting him, but after a long conversation, many questions were answered. He hoped he would gain her trust. She was a stunning woman in person, and was now completely captivating his heart. In fact, he had never felt like this before. He understood her, and she was right to be upset in his eyes. He answered every question she asked and helped her understand the situation. He explained that the ring was merely a form of identity, rather like a passport, which clarified if you were a changeling or not. The symbol had a heart with wings, meaning one is human yet possessing fairy traits. Fionnuala and Jarla were changelings. They were half human, half other. She was half unicorn, he half centaur. Fionnuala didn't quite understand why she was special because of this, but soon enough she would learn that her powers were extraordinary. Slowly she started to feel a strong bond with the king. She told him everything she could about her adventure, her home, her family, and how much she wanted animals and humans to cohabit peacefully. Crink also voiced his opinions, while Ulysses nodded and listened on. She then felt comfortable enough to ask him about what had happened to her family and to drones. Jarla admitted that none of them had survived and that it was his father's doing. his father Atlan decided to enable the beast to overthrow the humans before the world would be completely destroyed. He was right to do so, but not in the way that he did. Jarla assured that he was merely continuing on his father's kingdom in a different way, as he promised that humans would not be hunted down anymore. By this stage, Fionnuala and her friends were exhausted after the events of the day, and they snuggled down in front of the king's welcoming fire. Fionnuala began to close her eyes and drift off. The last few days had been the toughest in her life. Jarla never took his eyes off her. When she was sound asleep, he carefully carried her upstairs and laid her down very gently onto a bed in one of his finest chambers. Without thinking, he kissed her on the forehead and brushed her long hair aside. He stared at her peaceful face for a while. He really cared for her and knew that he was deeply in love. He was sure that he could easily spend the rest of his life with her by his side. However, it would take time and lots of attention to convince her to trust and love him, but at least now they know each other. The warlock knew he had to look after her very well and that magic would never be used on her. This he swore with his life. And in the morning he would promise her one thing, and that would be a life with him, but the way she wanted it. He only hoped that she would love him equally and be happy. If he doesn't act soon on this matter, he feared that this woman would never be his. He could not imagine losing her now. It's turning into a nice romantic story there, isn't it? Amidst all the torn action. Nature, the ever-powerful epilogue, 2 years later after all of that. Up there, between the peaks, there was a valley, lush, green, and full of meadow flowers all year round. There were fields to run in, to have picnics in, and plenty of room to grow all the vegetables and fruit one could ever wish for. There was an abundance of woods encircling a huge lake suited for boat rides and bathing during the hot summers. The lake had sandy shores that went on for kilometers. One could see the sunrise and sunset from the highest tower of the palace. Many animals inhabited this secluded area. Jarla had granted Fionnuala her wish, and she accepted this as her new home and became even fonder of it, as it was hers, and she felt responsible for its maintenance. Sorry about the dog. It does sound like I'm living with a dragon, doesn't it? I've got drone here in person. Someone's passing by the house. She's the guardian here, you know. But we're going to proceed with the sound effects, as they'll only last for a short while. I presume they could get quite bad, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. Sheba, quieten down. Oh, she won't really pay much heed to me. She might do. Come here. You're a good girl. Everything's drone there, but we're at the end of the story. The first book of the trilogy. So, so the mighty mouse even reminded her of her real home. She remembered clearly those tall cliffs that descended acutely, green tipped to the edge, yet plunging into the depths. They seemed untrodden upon by any living being, so Jarla had gained her trust over time, and by spending time together and sharing their thoughts and feelings, he discovered that Fionnuala also liked him very much. In fact, they were deeply connected and in love, even unknown to themselves when they first met. It was in their eyes, their words, and their touch. They were inseparable and suited each other perfectly. He made great efforts to make Fionnuala happy, but he couldn't bring her back her family and her real home. However, he could provide her with this one. Sadly, however, her new green home within the mighty mountains drained most of his life. He had to use a lot of magic in order to make her wish. He didn't mind one bit, as for him it felt like it was the right thing to do. Life was fulfilling with all they ever needed, and their deep sense of respect and care for one another was irreplaceable. Fionnuala also made sure that Jarla got what he needed: love, trust, security, cleanliness, fun, and intelligence. She, although delighted with his efforts, had learned to love him so much that she was beginning to feel heartbroken at seeing him age so quickly. He was no more the young, attractive, dark rider she had first set her eyes upon. Fortunately for her, she had the ability to remain forever youthful, but this was not his case. She begged him to reverse his magic and do away with her eternal home, but it was all too late. Sometimes she thought about those who are in love and how huge decisions and sacrifices can be made. How powerful love is. Undoubtedly, her deepest sadness came from her initial loss. The loss of her family, but now she felt that she was losing someone else dear to her. Although she had learned the hard way and seemed to be used to loss, it was still a huge burden to bear. Though she had forgotten about the wishing woods over time and came to love the warlock, king of the warlock, king of the new world. Peace was restored, whereby the beasts and humans were both appointed roles and parts in the court of the new world. Their equal representation in Parliament meant that laws suited both. At least for the time being, the kingdom was safe. Crink, satisfied with the political shift and with Fionnuala's newfound happiness, went his separate way, although they would come and visit her often. And as for Ulysses, well, he stayed nearby in a field, but was of little use. Abruptly, one dull day, when the snow fluttered from the heavens, Jarlath suddenly died. He had given himself up entirely for Fionnuala's happiness. He did, however, achieve in getting a successor. Fionnuala gave birth to a baby boy, but unlike its parents, it was no beast, no fairy, nor changeling, but a human. Nevertheless, she did not know that no of the lions had not yet gotten revenge on Jarlath's father. Somebody else also seemed to have an eternal wish. Deep down his dark lair, Drone was planning a much greater future. Oh, the second book gets so exciting with the dragon. Oh my god, you gotta buy this book, The Eternal Wish, and the second book is called Another Eternal Wish. It's out on Amazon. It couldn't be better. My own crafted creation, written from my heart and soul. I spent great joy in creating my books and spending my time writing those. Being amongst a whole lot of people that don't even speak my language, you can imagine how isolating it has all been. But these books brought me back to life. So read them, read on, and love them. And just enjoy it and let yourself flow.